those times, because I really do sometimes look back and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking, acting like that, talking like that? Like, in a million years now, never would I ever speak to my mom that way now. I mean, we've had our moments, but like, it's just crazy. Like, when you're young, like 21 years old, you're like, wild.
Right. No, but after that, or we would, I would be like, Joe, shut the fuck up, whatever. But after that, we were cool as fuck. Like, it was
I think
fun.
it was just like you have to shut up.
Yeah.
Like, my mom always fighting with me about something. My mom hated my boyfriend. So and my boyfriend was like,
we heard everything through the walls, because the walls were so thin on the cruise ships. So when we heard everything, we were just like, yo, what the fuck? It's 3 a.m. Like, she's drawing. Like, I need to go tell her. Like,
I was also like, we were so drunk every fucking night. Like, it was me. There was a drummer on the ship. I don't remember Josh Breedlove.
Yes.
Super tall white dude from Missouri, like, crazy drummer, but also like drunk as hell the whole time.
I mean, you're right. We all were.
Oh my God. Yeah. My mom and I, we, like, when I was a teenager, like even before I got on the cruise ship in my very early 20s, my mom and I were like brawling. It was so unhealthy.
It was. But
it's like it's 10 years go by and you look back at yourself and you're like, who is this bitch? I don't even know her.
No, but through all of that, I remember us like really connecting, because we had the East Coast thing, and I just genuinely loved artist music, just anybody. And when I found out, I don't know if you remember this, but when I found out that you were like a songwriter and you showed me like your book,
my notebook, that's right, I brought my books with me.
And then you also like played music for me of, like, I don't know if there were demos or mastered, or it was just like
they were back then. They were really old demos that I had recorded, probably most likely with my homeboy in New York named Teray.
Yes.
I don't know if you know who Immortal Technique is.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Philly.
So Teray and Tech are like best friends, grew up together.
Yeah.
Teray kind of gave him his first sound by being like his main producer's go-to, like, everything guy. And then Teray and I worked together a lot. And we actually got introduced to that crazy ex-boyfriend because they went to high school together.
That's insane. So like when you I remember vividly when you played me the music, I was like, wait a minute. You played like 2 songs and I didn't say anything, and I was like, play another one. You played another one. And I was like, how? I said, first of all, what are you doing on a cruise ship? Second of all, these are legit songs that I could hear on the radio. What, like, I didn't understand. It didn't make any sense to me how good the shit was. I was like, I was
you gotta do it. You have to, honestly, like, for me, the cruise ship was something I desperately needed. So that relationship I was in, like, honestly, now he has 2 kids, he's married, like, his whole life has calmed down. As you can clearly see, I'm married. My emotional life has calmed down.
Sure.
Nothing against him, but that relationship I was in was so unhealthy and bad for my career, because when I don't know what it is about being young and your parents trying to tell you what to do. But by the way, my mom was and still is like my biggest #1 fan. All is forgiven. Like, she's the one who pushed me, like, hey, like, if you're gonna get a side gig to make money, like, it should be in music. That's your strength. Like, do what you love. Always telling me to pursue what I love. And when I found this ad in Backstage magazine, I was sitting at Starbucks on the corner of Victory Boulevard and freaking Coldwater Canyon, right by my old shitty single studio apartment. Sure. And I was like, okay, this LA thing is real hard. I was signing at the time to a producer, a major big producer. And he kind of like dangled the carrot.
Were you in LA at this time?
Yeah, I moved to LA. Yeah, so I was living in New York for a while. Right. Moved to LA to be in a girl group. That girl group Never happened. I moved. I was the only one of the 5 girls or 4 girls, 5 girls that moved across the country to be in this girl group. And the producer just kept dangling the carrot. Oh, you have to pay for your own rehearsal space. Oh, you have to pay for your own studio time. And it was just like, that's not how production deals work. You don't understand. We're all artists. We have no money. And if we do, it's our parents' money.
Sure.
And I was the brokest, the most sort of like scrappy of everyone in the group. I was the least like girly. I was the least.
Because you're originally from New York, right?
Connecticut originally.
Okay, right.
About an hour and a half north of New York City.
Right, that
and
corridor.
I lived in Manhattan. I had been living in Manhattan for like 6 years when we met.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
I had just spent like 6 months in LA doing this girl group. And when that flopped and I just like fell flat on my face, I was like, well, I've spent all my money being in LA. I need to figure out how to make money. And I saw this advertisement, auditions for an agent, not even for Carnival, like auditions to find an agent to place you on a major cruise line.
Yes. That's how
I ended up on the Conquest first for 6 months and then the Victory for 5 months.
Oh, okay. So for people that don't know, usually when they try to find talent, whether it's singers or dancers, even hosts, I was an entertainment host, it's always through a third party like agency, and then they connect them to the cruise lines, and you go through the whole process of trying to get hired or whatever. So the Conquest was your first. My first ship was the Victory. That was my first ever ship.
Did you do any other contracts? You did? No, that was it.
No. After the Victory, yes.
Okay.
But when I met you, that was my I was green. I was fresh.
Oh my God, you were probably like, this shit is wild. This girl's crazy. She's fighting with her boyfriend in the middle of the night. She's yelling at her mom.
It's a culture shock because it's a different type of working because
how do you tell people, like, how do you explain it to people? Because this is how I explain cruise ship life. It's like a floating college, but everyone's kind of drunk the whole time and there's no classes and you get paid and everything's cheap.
That's what it is. It's not even the cheap, because in college you can find cheap shit. Everybody drinks. True. With the cruise ships, it's college, but you get paid.
Yeah, it's like you go, and there's no classes. You just have to like show up and be happy in front of people, and that's your only job.
That's what I tell them. I say it's college, but you get paid. But you also didn't you throw in the international aspect? You got literally people from all around the world, all walks of life, and you're trying to work together to make other people from around the world happy for the whole duration of their trip. And so you got to have a smile. And what I did, I was always on, when it came to, because we had trivias and all that shit. I would say y'all were lucky in the sense that y'all only came on certain times, right?
Yeah, we worked. It felt like a lot because we would rehearse 2 hours, like 4 days a week. Right. And that's not much. That was fine. But it was the doing 3 shows back to back. 3, and so 3 hours in like the promenade, 3 hours in one lounge, and then another 2 hours in the lobby. The jazz trio.
And that's not even counting like holidays where you have to do the Christmas shows and like the New Year's stuff and on the little deck where there's like 3,000 people.
I was so lucky that I didn't have to be in those productions, because those productions, hats off to all of those girls and guys and people that were in that show, because that was a real Broadway production, 3-4 nights a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, meanwhile, by the way, so about a month before I came aboard my first contract, they had fired. So I was the show band singer. So they had fired all of the horn players, the trumpets, the trombonists, like the band that used to be on the cruise ship was a huge band and there was no singer. It was just instrumentals and jazz standards. So these were like dark, serious musicians. And then on comes 20-something-year-old me that's like, hey, I love Britney Spears. I lived in New York. I came from LA. I'm a good singer. Meanwhile, my ass didn't even know how to read a chart.
Wow.
I had to learn how to read charts so I could just keep up with the band, because on the cruise ship, they're reading. They're not following me. I'm following them.
Absolutely.
So like most times when I'm singing, like before the cruise ship, I was like, follow me, boys, la, la, la.
And a 1, 2, 3.
No, not on the cruise ship. On the cruise ship, I had to learn how to read sheet music, which is something being young and being naturally able to do something like sing, you spoil yourself into thinking you don't need to learn how to do these things other musicians go to school for. And I deluded myself into thinking I would never need to read sheet music because I'm going to sing pop music. I'm going to become a pop star. I'm moving to LA. No.
Right.
Reality hit, and it hit hard when I got onto the Carnival Conquest because my musical director was A. Yeah. He was like a taskmaster, that man. He was like, oh, you missed the cue. You missed the coda. And they just kept playing without me. So it was rough.
So it's one of those things where you're kind of thrown in and you got to figure it out. And in life, you need those experiences to be able to adapt and pivot and handle. So I kind of want to go back a little bit and talk about just songwriting and like, when did you realize that you had a knack for it, or how did you even get exposed to that aspect of performing? Because I feel like with singers, they kind of just want to sing. And I always tell people like, yo, if you can't write a song, like, I don't like, you're just like, there's a lot of singers out there.
Well, okay.
Or am I wrong?
No, you're half right. You're half wrong. I'll tell you why. Because there are some artists that are just the vessel through which a song gets to be born, right? Or gets to travel. There are some artists like such as Rihanna. Would you consider her less of an artist just because she doesn't write her songs? Right? Okay. No. Then again, back in the day,
but see, I say like Brandy. Rihanna's like an outlier. Okay, okay.
She didn't write her music, but did it make her less of an artist? No. It's just that nowadays we are in this very self-sufficient laptop society. Yes. So you either run with the wolves or you hope that those wolves are down to take care of you, right?
I mean, how many times does that even happen though?
You know what I mean? So I do think it's important, you know, how to, like, as a songwriter, it's important that you know how to cut your own vocal, because sometimes producers just don't send you back your stuff. Sometimes you'll write a song with a producer who plays the instrumentation, makes a dope track in the room with you, beat, drums, everything. And then you wait a week, you wait 2 weeks, and you're like, damn, if I had just asked him to bounce me that track at the end of the session, I could have gone home, cut my own vocal, and had a complete song that I could either put out myself or shop to other artists, right? Yeah. So it's important to be self-sufficient as a songwriter. But to answer your first question, I got into songwriting when I was like very, very, very little. Fun fact, my mom, I just bought my mom an apartment in LA. So she's moving from the East Coast to LA and has been cleaning out my whole childhood home. I'm sure. And she sent me a notebook of lyrics that I wrote when I was like 6 or 7 years old. And it's a song. What? I was like, what was this? It was like, get on your knees. Thank God you're alive, because it's now, and now is your time to shine. And I can't remember how it went, but like, I weirdly remember like writing that down, like, get on your knees. Thank God you're alive. It's your time to shine. And I was like, that's so cool.
It's like daily affirmations now, right? Like,
I was like, I could have a whole Instagram of these, honey.
Right.
But I started writing when I was very little, and it just happened naturally. Like, nobody was like, you should sit down and write a song. It was just something like, it felt as natural to me as learning how to walk and talk. You know what I'm saying?
What was your earliest memories of music, like listening to music? Like, do you remember listening to a CD first, a cassette, or LP?
Yes.
Like a cartoon theme song? Like, what was it?
Cassette tape. Yeah. Michael Jackson.
Okay.
The homie, like the river Jordan.
Oh yeah, the I will be there. Free Willy, right? Free Willy, yeah.
That one. Yeah. So that's one of my oldest memories of like loving a song, listening to it, and singing along with it. Another one I bought when I was like maybe like 5 or 6. I bought the Green Day Dookie CD. Or no, cassette.
Time out. That, I feel like people our age, we're not too far off as far as age, but I feel like there's a couple of albums that people have bought like within our age that like across the board they had that. Like I feel like Dookie's one of them. I feel Jagged Little Pill, Alanis Morissette.
Bingo. Had that
right?
one.
And then you think about hip hop, like the Fugees, The Score. Like I feel like
Score.
a lot of these albums are very quintessential to a lot of people's upbringing. So it's funny you brought up Dookie. That was a great album.
And there was what was the Lauryn Hill album with that thing on it?
Miseducation
of Lauryn Hill. Had that. Yeah. I had that on cassette. So, and I also, but then when I started getting into CDs, I think my first CD ever, funny enough, was Mariah Carey Music Box.
Wow.
That was my first CD. But yeah, my first memory of consumption, being an end consumer of music, was that Michael Jackson cassette. And also my grandmother, I have this vague memory of my grandmother came with her Mercury Tracer in like the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
There was a cassette tape, and I believe Carly Simon had done some sort of like joint venture, like a JV with Mercury, to like have like a 6-song EP on a cassette tape, came with every Mercury Tracer. And I remember listening to this Carly Simon cassette on repeat in my grandmother's car.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
You're way cooler than me. Like the first thing I remember, like me pressing play, putting the headphones in, it was, first of all, it was a record, it was an LP. And it was I recently found it on Amazon. It was the Alvin and the Chipmunks singing Beatles hits. That's how I got into like.
I had their Christmas. I had Alvin and the Chipmunks Christmas album.
Like that's how I got into.
Probably around this. We probably had it at the same time, because we would listen to Alvin and the Chipmunks constantly. So you were not uncool. You're on par.
So that album. So my uncle, like I lived with a lot of people in my house. So like I was exposed to a lot of different music early. So I would have an uncle who would listen to Depeche Mode, Madonna, like dance music. And then my other uncle, he listened to the oldie stuff. My grandma listened to Patsy Cline. My grandpa listened to Glenn Miller. Me and my sisters listened to the R&B. My mom would listen to like old school, like funk and soul, like Parliament and all them. So I was really in tune to a lot of different genres of music that I just grew up listening to, that I loved. And I've always been the type of person where when people would ask me what kind of music, I was like, I listen to everything. Like I really do. My uncle, give him a shout out, but he's a Western swing country artist. He's been doing that for like 30 years. So I've always so like for me, I always like I'm always like music is just a big part of my life, and I love it. And I'm always curious to like people's like beginnings when they first remember themselves.
Yeah, my first like really vivid memory of music is I also had like these, back in the day, I don't know if you remember, they made these record players for kids.
Yes.
And they had plastic albums that were about that big, like as big as like a Krispy Kreme.
They had the needle. It was a big hunky needle, like this big. It was like red and yellow. I think it was a Fisher Price.
If you really want to go way back, that was one of the things my parents, I got it as a gift. I don't know if it was something my mom maybe got for the baby shower for me, but probably. I had that record player and I recall it. And my mom she also told me that I was singing the songs along with the little plastic records before I even learned how to talk. So this is just something that has always been part of me. And when I, to fast forward, and when I went on the cruise ship to sing live, I was coming from like a very a weird place in my life. Like it was sort of an escape, but it was also sort of like I thought I needed to like teach myself like a hard lesson of like, this is what it's like to be a live musician. You got to learn how to hack it.
Earn your chops.
Yeah. But my very first memory of like performing and stuff, I was of course in kindergarten or first grade. And my music teacher pulled me to the side after class, and there was another boy in my class who was really, really into music with me. And he pulled the two of us aside after class. Like my teacher kind of like ushered the kids back down the hall into our, room. Yeah. And he was like, hey, there's a big performance coming up. the superintendent of Newington Public Schools is retiring, and we're going to throw him a big concert. And I wondered if, Melanie, you wanted to do a singing solo in the show. And to the other boy, I think his name was Sean, but I can't quite remember. She's like, hey, Sean, would you like to also be like the boy and the girl that I pick from the music class? So that was the first time I ever got like singled out for being something maybe a little bit exciting to to another musician.
Was that the same time when you realized that you could sing, or you had like a vocal, like some sort of vocal skill?
That was probably right around the time I realized I was able to sing on key, and my music teachers always seemed to single me out, which goes to show you how important it is to have music in schools. I know it sounds like cliche and like beating a dead horse,
but it is.
It breaks me when I think about schools cutting budgets, cutting out music programs, because I'm like, my whole life would never have happened if in first grade, when I was this tall, as big as a 1-foot ruler, right, the teacher didn't say, hey, you got something, you should pursue this.
It's very powerful. It's very powerful to hear that from an adult, especially people that you see all the time, like teachers and educators, to kind of to give you that shine, because you gotta think, you're in a class of hundreds of kids, and everybody, like, there's only a few kids that excel at certain things that are going to get attention, and that's important for those kids that are excelling at that age. As you got older, what were some like very important influences or influencers that really kind of gave you the backing or the support to be like, you know what, maybe there's a future in music for me?
Really, it was my mother. I of course I had my idols my music idols. I worshipped Britney Spears. I worshipped Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Brandy, Monica. I loved TLC. I loved a lot of female pop that leaned R&B. Sure. I loved listening to old stuff like Billie Holiday and Etta James. But my mom was the one that was like, should we get you a manager that will like take you into New York? Because like I said, growing up close to New York makes it easy to go in and out for auditions and stuff. When I was about 12, my mom was like, we should look into getting you someone professional to help me, at least because I have a younger brother, to help me with you going in auditions, auditioning for plays, auditioning for, certain events, to perform at different events. I was performing, doing national anthems all up and down the East Coast. So she was like, we need somebody real. And she found me my first manager. Wow. Like my first legit manager.
How old were you when you had the first
12.
Manager?
12.
Wow.
My first music, acting, kind of like all around manager. He was not an agent. He didn't get me gigs, but he made sure I got to the gig, made sure that the gig was like on the up and up, that all the papers were signed. He was able to sign off on things for me. He was a really, really great guy. I just outgrew him. That just, it wasn't like, went bad.
He was stealing money or anything like that.
It just was like,
that happened.
I was like 16, 17. I was really seriously thinking about moving to New York to pursue it much more seriously than I could ever pursue it from the suburbs. Yeah. So we just kind of parted ways. And that was when I really, really, I moved to New York. I was supposed to go to college, supposed to go to NYU. That did not happen. I ended up becoming kind of like a go-to at Sony Studios for different producers. Like, hey, I'll get you your liquor at the corner store. I have a fake ID. I'll record your demo. Oh, Missy Elliott's in the studio. Do you want to just run and go grab some Crevassier for her at the corner? Do you want to just sing some background vocals on this thing real quick? Oh, I have a song I need you to cut for me. I was just like sort of like a musical gopher at Sony Studios in New York for a while.
That makes me so happy to hear, because I feel like it's very important for young people to understand paying your dues and just kind of keeping yourself in those rooms, whatever it is, whether you're sweeping up or doing gopher shit, like
coffee.
It's important. Like, you got to be able to do that shit, because it's not about demeaning your character or like, being like some sort of like, gopher. It's about, if you're able to handle simple tasks like getting the coffee and getting the order right, then they'll trust you with other stuff.
I always say this, no matter where you are in your career, you are not above getting someone a cup of coffee or cleaning up a few plates until you own the building, period. And that's how you become successful. You have to be a team player with people, with your co-writers, if you're a songwriter, to collaborate with another writer. If you're a music producer who's more of an instrumentalist, to collaborate with the top liners in the room. Top liner is like another term for someone who writes the lyrics and the melodies, the top line of the song. So yes, 100%. People now on like the TikTok, Instagram, I think that people believe all you have to do is go viral and you'll have everything you want.
They don't understand the long.
It's not.
It's cool because it's short term, but if you want longevity, if you want to be able to do whatever you want to do for the rest of your life, like you got to be able to master your craft, be able to take, kind of humble yourself and just be in those rooms and do the shit that nobody else wants to do, because opportunities come. And it's unfortunate, and I don't want to be like that, oh, get off my lawn, old man shit.
No, we're not.
But I feel like it's kind of like, I feel like people don't understand the amount of work it is to get to that point where your name is in the same room as Britney Spears, Dua Lipa, BTS, all these great artists that you worked with, which we'll get to in a little bit. But you got to put the work in. Whatever the work is, you got to put it in, because there's no skipping steps.
I mean, to me, I just feel like the fire dies when you feel like you're getting what you deserve. Your fire dies when you feel like you've already made it. You always have to feel, I think that the secret to very successful people is you always have to secretly feel like you're a loser.
Yeah.
You have to want more. Maybe not a loser. A loser's kind of a really putting it into a pinpointed category, but like you always have to kind of feel like, I'm not there yet. And I am not, even though like there are people that might go, oh, Melanie Fontana has done X, Y, Z, this and that. But to me, I'm going, well, I still want to do A, B, and C. So I'm not there yet, you know?
Right. So you said your mom was like the one that really like kind of like got you a manager, really kind of pushed you. Did she have any musical background, or is she just kind of recognized that you had some sort of skill that you wanted to really hone in on?
Yes. So my mom loved music growing up. She was always kind of the girl in her music class that got singled out for having a good voice, for, being good at singing harmonies. And she pursued, for a very brief period of time, being in talk radio, actually. She wanted to be a weather girl on the radio back in the day when you would like, here's Janice Fontana with the weather. Right. She wanted to be that girl. But she had kids. She got married. She did the 80s thing, the 80s, 90s mom thing. And she tells me, she's like, I don't regret having you guys, but I wish that I had pursued the musical part of my life, at least the radio part, being on the radio part of my life. She had even learned how to run back in the 90s and 80s, these big, you needed to learn how to work full soundboards. You needed to be an audio engineer even to just do the weather. So she learned how to, do the boards a little bit. And
did she have to like cut tape and shit? Like,
I don't know. I don't think she was that. I don't think she was into the recording side of it, but she was pursuing a career in radio prior to me being born.
Okay.
So yeah, but no one else. That's it. Like really, my family's not very musical. I come from a very like white bread, Connecticut. Mom stays at home, dad goes to work, brother plays sports. It's just very the suburban
cookie
wonderland.
Cutter. Yeah.
Very much that.
So we fast forward a little bit. You're in high school. What are you doing in high school? Are you just like writing lyrics? Like what's going on? What was your high school experience like?
Feeling like all at once I was not remotely good enough to be around any of the people there, while simultaneously thinking none of these people have shit on me. That like I feel like that's most people's experience in high school. It's just like I don't belong here. Everyone's
I need to get the fuck
me.
out of here. Yeah.
But also I'm so much better than all of these simple ass basic people.
This is the Melanie I know and I love. You're still the
like
same.
these basic, boring, bland, blah. Like I had to get out of my hometown. I'm not like, if you stayed there, my brother's there. He's doing amazingly. I have friends back home that are doing amazingly, but I wouldn't touch that life with a 10-foot pole.
It's not for you.
No, not for me at all. I just felt like I would like it physical suffocation if I stayed. I was bullied so bad in school that I bounced from like 4 different high schools. I went to one, and then I went to another, then I went to another, and then my mom was like, I can't deal with this anymore. Your teachers don't like you. The students don't like you. It's obvious. I'm pulling you out. And so I graduated high school through. Yeah.
Time out. What would cause people to bully you, or even the teachers to not like you? What was it like? Did you have an attitude problem? Did you talk shit?
I was not. I always kept to myself. I just always, for some reason, attracted like male bullies who attacked my looks, my weight, and then those male bullies would inevitably attract female bullies who would attack my looks, my weight. Oh, you want to be a famous singer? You're a terrible singer. You know, it was like everyone knew I had a dream, and I was very vocal about it. You see how I am. I'm different from what I was, but I'm still at the core like a very talkative person that likes to.
Yeah.
I'm excited about things I'm doing. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go. Right. I'm going to New York this weekend. I have an audition for this show and that. And
they would just shit on it.
Oh, like and even the music teachers. I got asked to leave. I got asked to leave a select choir because some parents complained that I was a professional singer. So I had when I was 16, my mom and I put together this little company for me so I could go on the weekends and sing at kids' birthday parties, and I would dress up like glitter on my eyes and like a wig and like pink, and I would dress up and be like a pop star birthday party, and I would sing. I'd be like, give me your 5 songs that you love, and I'll put together like a 10-song set list.
You were basically like Kids Bop. Like
it was Kids Bop, pre-Kids Bop. So I would go do birthday parties, and the parents were like, she's a professional musician. She makes income, and she's like at a company.
Yeah, so?
And I was like, so I can't sing in select choir because on the weekends I sing Oops, I Did It Again at a 5-year-old's birthday party. So yeah, high school was rough, and it's so crazy how much I've blocked out of high school. But I went to Catholic school.
Okay.
1 year I went to private school. 1 year I went to Catholic school, and then I went back to another private school, and then I just left and did homeschool. And I got my diploma on a Carnival cruise ship. No joking. The homeschool program was out of Florida. And every year they would throw their graduation party on a 3-day cruise to the Bahamas. So I graduated on the Carnival Fantasy. Mm-hmm.
As a guest.
As a guest. As a cone.
Wow. It came full circle.
A full cone.
Wait, so you didn't even know you didn't realize like there was, I guess you want to say career. You didn't realize there was a career on cruise ships and shit. You were just there, and
to me, everybody who worked on a cruise ship was so international.
Yeah.
And so like, wow, like brave.
Yeah.
Leaving home, like living on a boat. Like it didn't even cross my mind at 16. Or I graduated early because I was like, I want to get done with high school. So I literally worked crazy fast, got through my sophomore and senior year all within like 6 months.
And so when you finished school, did you go to college?
No, I did not go to college. School of hard knocks.
So when you were 16, 17, you're done with school, what were you doing? Just working odd jobs and doing gigs here and there?
Got a job. So I was doing my parties on the weekends, and then I started working at Subway. That was fun.
Wow.
I was a Subway sandwich artist. Then I went from working at Subway to being kind of like a runner in an office where I would like bind books and hole punch and all this stuff, like the clerical work. But I got fired because on a Friday, I forgot to bring back the change from lunch, which was like $4.17 or something ridiculous. I left it in my cup holder, and I was going to bring it back on Monday. And my boss was like, Melanie, you stole money. You stole the change. And I was like, this sounds like an excuse for you to fire the 17-year-old incompetent girl.
less than $5, you're really tripping out. Like, what's going on with your business? Where $5?
I literally was like, if it was 2020, I would have just taken my phone and like taken a picture of it in my cup holder, but we didn't have camera phones back then. Like, it's literally right here. I forgot it. I delivered you lunch and I went home.
Wow.
They said I stole it. I was like, okay, cool. Like, $5. All right, cool. So for about a year.
Yeah.
And I also was just like performing. Like, I was riding off of little itty bitty successes I had. Like, I won this competition called the Connecticut Idol, and I got to go on Fox TV, and they gave me a limo ride to New York to audition and then inevitably fail at getting on American Idol. Then I won Showtime at the Apollo Theater.
Wow.
Yeah. So like
I had no idea about
doing
that.
like, and then I did, let me see, what are my other like little, then the Baltimore Orioles called me out to do the national anthem. So I like had these like every like 6 months or so, I'd have these like big, exciting things happen for me.
Gigs
and I'd perform.
And shit, yeah.
I was literally just gigging in between working odd jobs and then doing my parties.
I mean,
and
performing at the Apollo was like, that's
crazy.
That's like a bucket. It's a bucket list. Like, not a lot of people are able to do that. B, able to walk out of there without getting,
I mean, for me, the Apollo was the like most like sweaty armpit, like terrifying.
Because they don't give a fuck. They don't care how old you are. Like, you better come with it.
There was like people like in the front row, they were like, okay. Mm-hmm. Like, I could see people already being like, oh, she's gonna flop. I was like,
and you killed it.
I was like, watch, hold on.
What did you sing? What did you do?
Etta James, At Last.
Classic.
But yeah, so that was my teenage years. Then the day I turned 18, my mom was like, listen, we can either pay for you to go to college or we could hook you up with some rent for a little while.
Okay.
And I was very fortunate. I do not come from a wealthy family. I do not have a gated house. I live in I grew up in a very simple, middle class, middle of the road. So it was like my parents had to work to support us.
Yeah.
So my parents were like, in lieu of college, we'll pay your rent in New York City. So you can be there full time trying to get what you want to do. But like, honestly, it was like a hamster wheel. Like, I ended up just like making homies and like going drinking and auditioning like once, twice a month if I was lucky. Getting a job. I worked for 4. You can't believe how long I worked at a health food store for 4 years. No shade. I love this health food store. It's amazing. It's called Simply Natural. It's still there. 40.
Shout out to them.
Shout out Simply Natural. I mean, I was not doing what I moved to New York to do. I ended up falling in love with dude from the cruise ship, me yelling on the phone on the cruise ship.
I think he came to visit too.
He did. He visited me and we went, that was like probably like 3 months into my contract. It was close to the end of my contract when he came. Yeah. I had to he was one of those dudes that like, you had to force him to like go anywhere.
I remember you telling me that.
He like didn't bring he had an expired license or an expired New York ID. And he talked his way onto the plane.
Yeah.
Could you imagine doing that now? That would never happen.
I can't even imagine that happening then. It was pre 9/11.
It was like 7 years after 9/11.
Yeah, no, like that doesn't make any sense.
So, anyways, he somehow made it, somehow worked out. But yeah, like that, it wasn't until I put a continent in between our relationship that I was really able to focus on me.
Right. So
I was like the queen of long distance for a very long time.
you had so many phone cards and internet cards. Yes, there was. I was like, "Yo, what is happening?" Like, just get off the ship.
I wanted to just. I should have quit. Honestly, I should have quit like 2 months into my victory contract because
the money was high though.
Yeah, like
the money was high.
Yeah, for show band vocalists, like you could save like 20-25 grand just by living on a cruise ship for 6 months and not doing shit.
Right.
Get off, have like a nice chunk of change.
Yeah.
Just be like,
even if you like did like 8 every day, you got off on the ship, you'd still have at least like 10, like easy. If you like, you know what I mean? Like easy. Yeah.
I saved, the cruise ship is how I was able to survive once I got off my last cruise on the Victory. I went home for like a week, and then I flew back to LA to my apartment. I had rented my apartment to some people. So I rented my apartment to this.
I remember that.
A songwriter singer who's very, very successful now. Her name is Victoria Monet.
Okay.
So I rented my apartment to her.
Okay.
She lived there for 6 months. And then I rented my apartment to this guy named O.T. Fagbenle. And he is now on Handmaid's Tale.
Wow.
If you watch Handmaid's Tale, he's the husband. He's like one of the main characters in the show.
Wow, that's so cool.
Like that little apartment is blessed. So I went back
to that apartment. Can I live there for a little bit?
And I went to New York for I got off the boat and I went to New York. I was like, I have 2 weeks. That's all I have. I was like, I'm giving myself 14 days. I'm going to get in with my homie Teray, and I'm going to pay him. I'm literally just going to pay him for tracks. I'm like, can you just produce some songs for me so I can take them back to LA with me so I can jump back into the music industry? Because I was signed to this girl group. And while I was signed in this girl group, I made tons of connections that I did not feel comfortable using when I was still signed with this team. But now that I was apart, I was like, I'm calling. I pulled out every single card, every stop that there was, I pulled it out. And I was like, I have music, listen to my music. I have music, listen to my music. Here's an open mic. I want to come sing at your open mic. Let's do this. And I just hit the ground running. And within 3 months of being off the boat, I had gotten a song cut with Justin Bieber.
That's insane. And I'm gonna get to that in just a second. But that's when you're like, okay, I'm built for this. So, but before all of that, when you're hustling and grinding, is that what the difference is? I mean, it sounds like a stupid question to ask, but the difference between someone who's at a point where you are in your career, where you're getting phone calls left and right from people wanting songs, to those that just maybe assume, or I'll be all right, or whatever, the hustle and saving up money and the old cars that you had, that you found or you still had, and making those connections, that all comes back when you're hustling and grinding to getting to that point.
You won't meet those people if you don't serve those people first. You know what I mean? You have to be look, I'm here for you, so that hopefully one day they can be there for you. So for me, that was very important, was to have humility and say yes to I said yes to everything, Jay. There was nothing, I mean, short of sexual favors, there was nothing I would not do to get into a studio, even if it meant me and one of my girlfriends who I songwrite with, right? Studio opens up at 1 a.m. What do you think? You want to go? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
We parked the car at 12:55. Boom, in the parking lot. 1 in the morning. We have free studio time. I'm not going to turn it down because I need to work on my craft. It is what it is, and I'm there till 5. And then studio needs to be cleaned and refreshed when cleaning crew comes in at 8. And then it's I was never there. So it's you just have to do what you have to do. I can't believe now, looking back on that Melanie who would drive to the studio at 2 a.m. This is a very different Melanie than is sitting in front of you right now.
But when you're in it, you're it's not it's almost like you're desperate. You need whatever time you can find, whatever loophole, whatever back door that's open, you just take it. Fuck it, and you deal with that other shit later, and you master your craft.
Sleep when you're dead. If you're trying to become successful, your mentality needs to be sleep when you're dead. Especially
when you're young and you have the energy to hop around at 1 a.m., be in the studio till 5, clean up, go back to the crib, maybe sleep a couple hours and wake up and get back to the grind.
Literally that's what I did. It was studio, maybe go to the gym for an hour or so, then back to the studio. It was just constantly trying to better myself. I eventually got to a point where it was too much trying to shove too much in, and you can sort of start burning out a little bit.
For sure.
Then you have to learn how to say, okay, saying no isn't the devil. And then you have to kind of the negative side of being so fucking driven is that you're terrified to say no because you fear that one no, that one time you say no, you'll miss the biggest opportunity of your life.
Right. That's not always the case.
No, not, and it's 99.99999%,
but
never the case.
It gets to a point where you need to, all right, you put in the equity as far as running and gunning, getting your name out there whenever you can, taking up any studio time that's free. And it's like, all right, you put the groundwork in, but then it's like, all right, what's the focus? Like, what do I need to focus on? Yeah. And then you start focusing on that, and then you start to realize how you could manipulate it to how you want it to work out. So going back to Justin Bieber and working with him, I mean, this is what is in his infancy when he started to really like pop off, and he had Baby and all that shit.
This was post Baby. He had already been very famous for like 4 years now. So he had already been famous for like 4 years. He was working on his Believe album, and he was working on his Christmas album, which was Under the Mistletoe.
Yes.
So one of the friends I had met being signed to this super producer in a girl group had also been friends with a person who I'm trying to make this like, so long story short, essentially.
Okay.
A friend of a friend from when I was signed to this producer was like, hey, I went to this networking event. So I was, like I was telling you in the beginning, I was performing at a lot of open mics when I first came back to LA. Like I went to New York, I made this demo of like 6 songs. Then I came back to LA, and I would hire a guitarist to play with me at these events. So I went to one of these open mic night events, and I met a dude there who knew a dude that wrote for Justin Bieber. It's literally as like, it's all like, it's like.
But you put yourself in those positions though. You were like open mic, you never know.
And then if you don't, but if you don't deliver in the lucky situation, what's the luck worth, right? So this friend was like, listen, you need to meet this dude. He writes all these Justin Bieber songs, and he's working on Bieber's new album, and he's working with JoJo, and he's working with all these very, like Jason Derulo was just kind of coming off of his What You Say moment. So you need to meet this guy. So turns out his studio was a block away from my apartment. I could throw a stone and hit the studio.
Did you know that was there?
No, because in LA, studios look horrible on the outside. Like everything in LA, as far as a recording studio, it looks like a dock where you would dump a dead body. But then when you go in, it's this like chandeliers, gold plated, red leather, like everything's like sleek and beautiful.
State of the art equipment and everything.
So I go to this very nondescript building that's behind a laundromat, and I'm going, no way Justin Bieber is working on music in here. No fucking way. I go in, and sure enough, his whole team is there. We write one song. Oh yeah, like this girl Victoria Justice is gonna cut it. Cool, that's a cool cut. I know her. She's on Nickelodeon. I love that girl. Cool. And I was like, that's like a cool first thing to happen. Second song we write.
Wait, time out. Scooter Braun was all in there and shit too?
No. Scooter wasn't here at the studio, but it was like Justin's songwriting team.
Got it. Okay.
The people, like if you pull out his CD and you like read the liner notes, like everyone in the liner was in the studio for the most part, until he started working with like Max Martin. Max's studio is over in Beverly Hills, and it's gorgeous. So I meet all these guys. We write one song. It goes pretty well. Write the second song. It's like kind of a country song. I was like, this would be amazing for Taylor Swift, or like the band Perry, or like Lady A, right? So I was like, let's do something like that. So we write out of like, so we go from writing a super pop song to writing a super country song. At the time, he wasn't my manager yet. My manager emails it over to Scooter Braun. Scooter Braun's like, I love this song. We should get the band Perry on it and feature Justin. Then it was like, wait, let's get Justin on it, feature the band Perry, and put it on his Christmas album.
Done.
I swear to God.
And what's the result? What's the result of that?
So I started going through the shopping phase, which is where you shop yourself or your manager, your management team. So at that point, my then management was like, we want to sign you. This is like Justin Bieber's people. Like, we want to sign you to our management company. We have a pub company. We will publish your music. And we have a management company. I was like, but wait, like, you can definitely manage me, but publishing serious, like, that's like a whole thing. Like, you get a big advance. Like, they advance you sometimes millions and millions of dollars that you inevitably have to pay back.
Sure.
So I was like, hold off on publishing, but you can manage me. Like, so that management team started shopping me around to different publishing companies, and I was getting offers of amounts of money that, like, to 20-something, 22-year-old me was like,
like,
it was like,
you're seeing those numbers. You're like, wait a minute, there's more.
I was like, I've never seen that many zeros in regards to me in my life.
Right.
So I was like, so wait, songwriting is actually like kind of like a lit game. Like, you can make like a good living doing this.
That's the game.
So let's rewind about 9 months. So I'm on the cruise ship ending my time on the Victory.
Yeah.
And I had a friend in LA who I met through this super producer that I was signed to. And he was like, yeah, I'm getting a pub deal. And I was like, what is a pub deal? And he's like, it's like where a company gives you an advance. They own half your publishing forever, but you get to keep the other half. And then they give you large amounts of money. Every time you pay them back, they give you like another big check. That's the simplest way to put a publishing deal. And they also shop your music. They have good connections. They shop your songs to artists. They put you in rooms with good producers, sync television, movies, commercials, everything. So that is what, and I was like, tell me more. I'm interested. I was like, I got 2 months left on this bitch. I'm getting off of this freaking floating hamster wheel in 2 months. And
that's how a lot of songwriters make their money, is off of shopping around, or even like samples.
Even like Taylor Swift has shopped old songs. Like, This Is What You Came For by Calvin Harris and Rihanna. That's Taylor Swift. She wrote that.
Yeah.
You know, like Lady Gaga has written a lot of stuff for other artists. Meghan Trainor too.
There's a lot, like Jessie J.
Oh yeah. Jessie J's new album is about to be crazy. Ryan Tedder is executive producing it. Ryan Tedder from One Republic.
You already know how much Ryan means to me. Like, he's a genius. He's a genius. He's not only a musical genius, he's also like a real estate genius, and also just like a life. He is so good at compartmentalizing and time management, and just like doing everything and being able to have his hand in everything. Yeah.
He's one of the songwriters that I've looked up to forever.
Before we go on a tangent, I just gotta give a shout out to my friend Stephanie. She's the one that really put me on to not only One Republic but Ryan Tedder, and telling me like, oh, he wrote this. I was like, oh shit, he's a genius.
He wrote all the new Jonas Brothers stuff. That's like all the lit new Jonas Brothers stuff. That's all him.
Yeah. So going back 9 months after, or like from going off the Victory, working with Bieber, that Christmas album, how well did that do?
It immediately went to #1 on Billboard charts. We immediately went platinum. Within like 8 months, it was double platinum. By the next Christmas, it was triple platinum. I think it's something like quadruple platinum at this point, which is 5 million.
Do you know how 5 million sold? Do you know how insane that is? Like, and this is,
and mind you, that is like, to me, I'm like, that's incredible. But then when I think about the numbers that BTS does,
we're gonna get to that in a second.
BTS, that is a phenomenon.
I'm gonna get to that in a second, but I want to talk about
90s. That's some 90s music.
No, listen.
Sales.
When I saw that you worked on the Bieber album, and I remember seeing on your post or something you had like a platinum. I'm like, you're literally living my dream, like, of being in the realm of songwriting, music, working with artists that you work with, because you work with artists that people know, but you also work with artists from like around the world that are topping the charts over there at other countries. Can you talk a little bit more of like your experience working with artists, international artists, and how their songs chart and how it is? What is there any differences? Or what?
As an American, we often like to believe we are
the end all be all.
The end all be all. Right? Okay. We have to remember, every country kind of has its own little isolated market of songs in maybe their mother tongue, their own language. Artists that might be super famous there, but when they fly to LA to work, they get to have like some time off and be like at peace for a second. So sometimes you have to take yourself from like here to here and realize, listen, you're not just you. Sometimes the US isn't always the shit. You have to realize these markets are billion-dollar music industries and has nothing to do with the US at all. So it is amazing to see people find celebrity in their home country and work with artists that have fans screaming outside of the studio with signs, and then to come, when they come to LA, it's like they get to have like a break from all of that.
Right.
It's cool. It's really awesome to see those the different kind of markets, and what style of music works in each market is very different. Like right now, or about like these last like 6 months, just that Ari Side to Side, that like kind of like pop reggae sound is like hitting in Korea.
Yeah.
Even though that kind of hit here maybe like 2-3 years ago, that sound is hitting in Korea now because they were on some other shit when that sound was hitting here. So it's like sounds aren't necessarily all the same in every single market. It doesn't mean they're late. It just means they were on some more EDM tip before when that side to side thing was happening here.
So I bring up the international because I remember seeing this. I'm gonna play a little snippet, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And I hope you can hear it.
Oh my God.
Listen, when I saw this on iTunes, I remember like, wait a minute. She has a song on, I thought it was the coolest shit. And I was like, I have to buy it. I didn't know who the DJ producer was. I just remember seeing your name. Yeah, I remember seeing your name, and I was like, wait, I gotta support my girl, because this is dope. So
this was one of my first features. Right.
So, I mean, the hook, I love the hook. I recently listened to it again, because I was like, I want to listen to the stuff I remember seeing her. And I watched the video. Like, this was a time in music where, the EDM, all of that was really popping off. And I remember
this was very like that when David Guetta smashed onto the United States scene. By the way, here's another fun fact. David Guetta had been famous for like half a decade.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I knew about Guetta and Tiesto and all of them years before when they really popped up. Yeah.
You like, as an American, sometimes you just need to be like, bring it down a notch, man, because there are other markets that you don't even know, but like you could get super rich working in Romania on the road. Like Romania has its whole own pop scene with Romanian pop stars. Like
with this DJ, he's Australian, correct?
Yes, but he was living he's back in Australia now, but he was living in LA at the time.
So how did the link up with y'all two work, and where he was like, yo, did he hear your shit, or you kind of like, how did that work?
Yes. So my music publisher at the time, her name is Ashley Calhoun. Shout out Ashley Calhoun. She's at Pulse now. She set me up on a writing session with him because he was also signed to this Universal Music company. I was also signed, and she was like, let's bring these two together. And there was another songwriter in the session named Styx, who he's not only an incredible songwriter, musician, he's also super big into community outreach, like in Watts and in like South Central LA. Like he's like wearing a crown over there. Like
that's dope.
It's just one of the most amazing, like he's just an amazing person in general. So they put the three of us together. because we were all signed to the same company. And they were like, y'all just should get together and write something, see what happens.
Yeah.
Tidy fell in love with the song we wrote in the session, went home, put on his headphones, like worked on it, and then was like, do you mind if I put this out? And I was like, go.
Fuck yeah.
Get
Absolutely.
it.
That's, I like it's different when you're, you're songwriting and you're writing for other people and it's cool or whatever. But like to have a song where it says like your name on it and it's like
it's
on the charts and you like make a music video.
It's a heartwarming feeling.
It's no, it's like I was so happy for you.
I'm definitely like, I'm not completely opposed to the idea of pursuing an artist's career eventually, but I also feel like it's not something that like I would put above writing for other people. I love my life as it is. I love my job as it is. But hey, if one day I maybe want to like put out something, I'm not opposed to signing like with a label for like an EP deal or like doing some performances here and there. Why not? It's fun. Yeah. I love singing. So for me, it's more like I'll do more of that when the time is right, but I'm still doing features. Like I do about like 1 or 2 features a year, maybe a little more. Like I just did one recently with this DJ called John Dahlback.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite features. It's called Don't Wanna Love.
Okay.
And it just came out a couple of weeks ago. And I mean, it's again, an amazing feeling to see your name on something when you're so used to being behind that curtain. Like when you're the guy, the wizard.
I just remember like when I think I might have been following you or whatever, and you had posted that you had this song out with Tidy, and I was like, wait, like it was bizarre because I was like, I was just working with her on a cruise ship, like, and it wasn't that long after. It was maybe like a year, 2 years, or whatever it was.
See, it feels like it happened very fast because technically after the cruise ship, it was like I jumped into the music industry. Like I dove into the music industry right after the cruise ship, but I had already been in the music industry like 9 years before that. Right. So what people often see as an overnight success is often like a 20-year thing.
Yeah. So that's the misconception. Like you like, oh, overnight success. Meanwhile, this band's been together touring for 20 years, 10 years, whatever. Literally. And this is their 4th album. Like no, so I just remember like from knowing you to when that came out, I was like, oh shit, like she's like legit. So then, I follow you and we're friends or whatever. We'll comment here and there. More than anything, I'm just like, yo, this is so dope. I'm so happy. Like I was just like praising you because it's such it's like a dream gig. But
it really is. It really is a dream. My job is amazing, and also I'm married to the most talented, incredible music producer that I've ever gotten a chance to work with. So we work together a lot, which makes us sort of a one-stop shop for artists because it's like, okay, awesome. I get Lindgren and Melanie. So Melanie's going to be on the pen with me and Lindgren's going to make sure that I sound amazing and make sure the track sounds amazing. So I feel like that having him has also leveled up my game too, because we're so in sync with one another that like I can just look at him and he already knows what I'm going to say, so he's already on the boards doing it.
So between y'all two meeting each other, was it just inevitable because y'all are in the same circles? Like how did that work?
There were
you and your husband. That is.
Yeah, there were a million things that could have gone wrong when we met. He had just gotten dumped by his girlfriend. Wow. I was like kind of in like a shitty mood, and I almost can't. So he was here visiting from Germany. So he's German. Yeah. So he was here in LA visiting from Germany. I was working with a friend at my friend's house. She's a co-writer of mine. We actually wrote the entire soundtrack to this kids TV show called Shimmer and Shine together.
Oh, that's cool.
It's on Nick Jr. And I'm singing. Hold on, wait. This is the TV show. See if does it have any battery left? No. Oh. This is the little speaker.
Royalties.
That's my voice in a toy that I bought at Target.
That's amazing.
So
it's so bizarre. It's so
she's not only a talented like songwriter for kids shows, she also writes pop music and has been writing for like 20-30 years. So Jolene invited me, her name is Jolene Bell, she invited me, hey, I got the session, it's this young dude, he's coming in from overseas, you want to work with us? And I was like, sure,
fine, whatever.
And that's how we met.
Wow.
So
and
it was
was it instant? Like y'all's connection was just like
instantaneous. I had a crush on him the second I saw him. I was like, this is bad.
Aww.
I was like, I don't like to shit where I eat, but I'm gonna shit where I eat.
Yeah.
Business and pleasure sometimes don't always mix, but it just was so natural. And the fact is, we didn't even get a chance. Like, there wasn't even like, we didn't even hook up when he was in LA. It was just like, we worked together. We went to dinner with a group of friends, and then he went back to Germany, and we just stayed constantly texting, constantly on FaceTime. And I was like, I think I'm falling in love with this guy on the internet, basically. So again, I'm like the long distance queen here. So I'm like, here I go to another long distance thing. So I flew to Germany. I just was like, I'm going to come. Are you cool if I come to Germany for like 2-3 weeks? And he was like, yeah, just stay with me.
Wow.
And it was like that. And so we just
It was a wrap.
We got married. We started dating in February. We got engaged the next February, and then we were married by August.
Wow. Nah, that's
my bestie.
Up. Congrats.
He's my bestie. He's like, we're like, thank you. We're just like the best two friends that anyone could have. He's my bestie.
No, y'all definitely seem like you have a really good connection. And I like with all that being said, I say it's the amount of success that you've had over the last couple of years. I remember you put a post up or something about like having, songs go #1 in like other countries, and it was like multiple songs at the same time. So
yes.
Can you just talk about like that experience working with artists from around the world and seeing the fruits of your labor in other markets?
To me, it's an honor every time I get to connect with somebody that maybe doesn't necessarily speak my language, because I think human connection is so fucking hard to find nowadays, because everyone is like on one side of the fence or the other with everything. There seems to be like a thin line drawn down the center of every friendship, it's like everyone's like, you're either on one side or on the other. So at that time, this was pre-politics taking over Facebook, pre all of that. It still felt so amazing to connect with a market that I didn't even necessarily know how I was connecting with. I was just doing what I did naturally and connecting. So I think things feel better when you don't force them. And so when I saw, I had at the time, there was this TV show that was brand new back then called Produce 101.
Okay.
Massive show in Korea. And they were putting together a girl group from 101 girls, narrowing it down to like a lucky 10 or 11 that become this massive group that turned out to be IOI was the name of the band. Right. So I had a #1 with one girl group from that show that they had like broken the 101 girls down into like a few different girl groups. So I had a #1 with one girl group on the show. Then minutes later, I had a #1 with another girl group on the show. And then when the official girl group was created, about 3 or 4 days later, I had another #1 in Korea on the Melon chart. See, they have several different charts in Korea. They have like a cacao chart. They have a melon chart. They've got different things. Aren't just necessarily Billboard or, what we have here.
So, all right. So since you mentioned Korea, I mean, we got to bring up BTS. I mean, like literally the biggest group in the world. Just the following for K-pop and the explosion. A lot of it has to do with YouTube, and just
the visuals.
Like,
it's just
the visuals,
but also it's
a movement. It's a movement.
It's also the first movement of music where the artist actively and constantly connects with their fans via V Live, via YouTube Live, via Instagram Live.
Yes.
Back in the day, and I actually talked to Lance Bass from NSYNC about this because I was on his podcast.
Time out, just a low-key flex. Oh, Lance Bass.
Well, no, I was talking. Listen,
I'm messing with you. That's awesome.
Stop. So Lance was in what is arguably, prior to BTS, the biggest boy band in the world. But there was a wall. The wall between you and them was so much thicker, stronger, larger, higher, more powerful, because the wall was, there was no phone.
Right.
There was no
access.
chatting.
There was no access to those
You
artists.
did not have access to these men. No. These men lived in their world. You imagined what you thought their world looked like, and then you went to their concerts when you could, if you could afford it.
But you also got to think too, like that, especially.
And you know what? To get a meet and greet with one of those bands was like finding a 10-carat diamond on the ground. Like It was impossible. That's
what I was gonna say. Like a lot of that time they were rehearsing, recording, touring, recording, rehearsing, tour. Like it was just nonstop for whatever, from when they started to whenever inevitably they broke up, whatever. But they're constantly just on the move.
I was like, I feel like Lance gets to live a very peaceful life and gets to live a very beautiful life with his husband and their dogs and like their properties, because he was just slightly before the time when people could just snap you at the grocery store on their iPhone.
Yeah.
In
my opinion, they made it out. Like,
yes,
it was like, woo.
They made, first of all, they made they made the money, they broke the records, they did the damn thing, and they got out alive.
Like, I'm good.
You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that the stars of today won't make it out alive. I'm just saying it's a lot more difficult to make it out with your wits about you now, because you have a literal phone in your face at all times.
And people don't give a fuck. They'll just start recording, and you're just like, can you not record? Yeah. And they just keep recording, and they're just waiting for a reaction. And it's like, as humans, it's like, just respect it. But yeah, so he made it out before all that stuff.
But BTS is one of the first groups that really connected as underdogs with their fans, who in my opinion, are a lot of underdogs. People that need a place to feel safe, people that need a place to feel confident. These K-pop groups, not just BTS, but like, 17, TXT, Super M, NCT Dream, Icon, all of these groups, they give their fans this little haven of protection. And even though the music, which to me, like to connect with people in a different language and to connect at such a huge level with a different language is still a phenomenon. I'm trying to understand myself. Like, I wish I could explain to you why it happened from like a business standpoint or from like an artist standpoint. But the most I can say is there's just something about the way they say things, no matter what language it's in. BTS has like a way of like kissing your heart,
So working with, did you work directly with BTS, or did you write?
Yes.
So you were in the studio with them.
So no, I initially wrote 2 tracks that were sent to me. So this is how it goes. BTS and their label kind of like create some instrumentals together. Either they have producers in the house, or BTS helps create the beat with them, because they're all musicians too. Like, they're all producers, engineers. Like, BTS can engineer and like record their own vocal. Like, just like I have a microphone here. I don't know if you can see it, but like I'm at my little studio desk. Like, they can all do that. So they'll create a track, email it to me and me and my husband. We write on it, email it back. They're like, okay, we want to change this, this, and this. And then they add something. And I'm like, ooh, I love what they added. Let me take what they added and do X, Y, and Z to it. And then we just shoot it back and forth over email.
That's wild.
Right? Wild. Okay. So then in person, getting to work with them to perform with them on Saturday Night Live.
That's insane.
Dead.
That's insane.
Dead. They are so, like, the professionalism.
How did you work with them on Saturday Night Live?
Well, like, what's funny is, it was like when I met them, it was like, oh, like we've worked together like satellite this whole time. So it was just like, hey, I haven't seen you, but I've seen your picture a lot.
Right.
But it's just like, it was just, I mean, I wanted to be as professional as possible, but I was freaking out inside because I was just, firstly, so excited to be there at SNL at this iconic location. First, secondly, performing a song that I helped write with them.
For arguably the biggest group in the world.
I don't even know if it's arguable at this point.
Right.
It's just what it is.
I was just being generous, but
like
you're probably,
that,
you're right.
I have like a little, like, that's my Guinness World Record that
so
I
broke wanted to bring that
them.
up.
Yeah.
What are all the records that you have right now?
So the records that we broke at the time, I think BTS actually broke their own record though. We broke most views ever in 24 hours on a video.
On YouTube.
Most views ever on a K-pop music video, but I mean, yes, BTS sings in Korean, but it's so global now. I don't even know if I would necessarily call it K-pop anymore. They're just they're Korean men
pop.
who
it's music.
have gone pop.
So what were the numbers like the 24-hour stuff? Like 700 million?
74,600,000 views in 24 hours.
That's insane.
And that all happened while I was in New York City with BTS performing on SNL.
And like, I think now it's like at 1 billion or something. I think I watched it the other day. And it was like,
we've surpassed 1 billion. Hold on, I'm gonna research.
Yeah, it's like 1.5 or something. It's something like the amount of numbers on there. I was like, what? It doesn't make sense.
They have dedicated fans. It's 1,147,062,578 views right now.
And that was the song that was also with Halsey, right?
With Halsey, who is just so amazing for jumping on that song and loaning her talents to the song and just giving it like a female male like cheeky perspective.
No, it was listen. Like I'm not like I don't have like I pride myself in trying to keep up with music, but there's so much music that's so hard, even with like the biggest groups in the world. But when you watch it and you're like, and you see the numbers and you see the comments and you see the amount of people that like it, even the amount of people that don't like
that's important. You want to know what? The don't like it people, the haters,
they love it. They love it.
They love it.
Like, people why else are you watching this video? Why else are you watching this video? Like, stop playing with yourself. Like you
wanted attention. You just gave it a thumbs down because you're just being a hater. You're sitting in your basement with your Cheeto fingers,
the
sitting
keyboard
at your
warriors.
laptop and like, I'm gonna make people feel bad. Meh.
No, they fucking love it. But so working with BTS, Halsey, then you work with right now. I mean, I was just going off the people, Dua Lipa, who's fucking, first of all, she's the shit. And her album was
like
phenomenal.
Just as beautiful and professional and talented in person. She actually recorded Good in Bed here at my house.
Like it's, I mean, who are some of the other artists that people could like that you think people would like recognize? Oh yeah, like Chainsmokers. You worked with
Chainsmokers, Britney Spears, Blackpink.
Before we, all right. So you mentioned Britney Spears. So what kind of
oh my
full
God.
circle moment? Like how is that? You're working with an icon.
Okay,
it's not even arguable. Like that. Like you know who Britney Spears is. You know the music. You know who she is.
Yeah.
And you worked on her newest album, right?
Yeah. And apparently she really loved Mood Ring. So I co-wrote Mood Ring like 6 years ago. We were told it's going to be the single. It's going to be huge. We're going to feature DJ Mustard because Mustard had produced it. It's going to be this thing. And then I got news. The song's off the album. The label doesn't like it anymore. It's over. And I was like devastated, couldn't get out of bed. And then they're like, never mind, it's back on the album. And I was like,
just kidding.
But it's not a single. And I was like, yes, but like, okay, at least it's there, like bucket list. I love Britney. Like my mom, like I said, is cleaning out her house to move to LA and has literally sent me, no joke, like 5 drawings that I drew of Britney Spears when I was 12 years old. So
that's insane.
You're speaking to like a #1 Britney Spears fan here. So then it was off the album, then it was on. Then they're like, no, it's going to go on the deluxe edition in Japan. And I was like, I'll take it. Any Britney Spears cut for me is a cut. I don't like songs that sit on hard drives. I'm easy to work with. If you want to write a song with me, let's just write it. No drama, put it out. Just, I'm not picky. So, and I think what happened is the fans who couldn't necessarily have access because it was not on Spotify. Mood Ring was not on Spotify. You had to either illegally download it or buy the Japanese album hard copy. So the fans were getting pissed. So in 2020, around April, there was a trend on Twitter saying like, release Mood Ring. And it was like number 3 trending topic. And I was like, this song literally came out 5 years ago. What are you all doing? Well, they pushed. Britney hit RCA and was like, can we just put this out? And they put Mood Ring out 5 years later as a single. They did a remix album. It got its own album of like 4 or 5 different remixes by very, very talented people like Wookie and Ape Drums and Lee Dagger and all these like very notable EDM DJs remixed the song.
That's insane.
Yeah. And so like it got it for me, that was fucking vindication because I knew that song was a hit. It didn't get pushed to radio the way I thought it should be pushed to radio. I think RCA or she's going through a lot right now. So I think somebody, maybe, I don't even know if it probably wasn't RCA. It was probably someone over there that dropped the ball that didn't push it hard enough because I think that song could have been huge at radio because even though it was 5 years old, I listened to that track. I was like, Mustard and Twice as Nice, the production team who did the beat, I was like, they smashed it. This sounds like it could have come out. Even though it's 5 years old, it sounds like it came out today.
I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, that's part of the business, right? Like, it doesn't matter, like, if the studio or if the label doesn't think it's a hit or it's kind of like what happens. Like, it could be on the record, it'd be off. No, it's gonna be on the exclusive in Japan. Like,
but it also goes to show you how powerful the fans' voices are.
Correct.
Because the fans made that was never supposed to happen. The fans literally created a trend that lasted 2 weeks. And then Britney finally, I think Britney or someone on Britney's team just caved and was like, all right, already, we're going to put this thing out.
Wow.
Just took 5 years.
I mean, that's a proud moment because I know it's, you know, obviously someone you looked up to. Are there, you're able to be in conversations and have relations with a lot of talented people within the industry, whether they're artists, engineers, producers, whatever. Is there an artist that you haven't worked with that you're kind of Birdman handing your, you know?
Oh, yes. I know, I don't know where she's at right now in her process, but I would absolutely love to work with Selena Gomez.
Ooh.
Never worked with Selena. I feel like Selena and I just feel like I understand her sound. Yeah. And I feel like I could, with her, alongside her, we could deliver.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I can see that for sure.
Ari. Yeah. Ari's another one. I mean, her new project with the live strings.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. It's such a vibe to like just drive and listen to the new Ari album. It's so tight. It's so nice.
So can you tell us like anything that we could kind of be looking out for?
Ooh, yes.
I'm not sure when this is gonna drop, but I mean, maybe some exclusives or something.
Any fun stuff? Okay, so I've got a couple things happening. I've got a song coming out with an artist called John Kay. He is signed to Sony. He's incredible. You should check him out. We have a song coming out soon, and I've got some songs coming out with AJ Mitchell, who is freaking incredible. If you haven't checked out AJ, he's insane. 19-year-old male artist, like young Weeknd, basically. Wow. Like Weeknd meets something a little more organic. He's absolutely incredible. What else? I've got so much going on. Oh, Mabel. I don't know if you're familiar with Mabel. She's an insanely talented artist from the UK. She had a fucking massive hit called Don't Call Me Up last year.
Okay.
Don't Call Me Up. It was so good.
Okay.
If you haven't heard Don't Call Me Up, go listen to Don't Call Me Up.
I think I think it came on the playlist that I had randomly going on. But yeah,
and it's probably one of the most incredible vocalists, singer, and equally amazing of a songwriter, like lyricist, like lyric game on point.
That's fun.
What else do we have going on? We have so much going on. I've been working a lot with Anne Marie.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
Finally, we're kind of going back and forth on a song right now that we're like it's in the works right now. What else is going on? I got some more K-pop stuff coming out soon. What else? I mean, the stuff that's just recently released is pretty dope too. Like if you haven't heard Twice, this girl group in Korea, you should check them out. They're fire. There's the song called I Can't Stop Me, and they have it come out in both English and in Korean, which I think is awesome. Very rare that happens.
When are you and Mr. Tedder gonna get together?
I don't know when we're gonna get together next. Actually, Ryan right now, Ryan, you better call me.
When y'all do, I need to be on FaceTime and just be like, yo, listen, I think you're dope. My friend Stephanie put me on to you. Yeah.
He actually he has this company called Mad Tasty, and they make this amazing CBD water.
Oh, that's cool.
Have you heard of Mad Tasty? It's really good.
No, I think that's amazing though.
Oh, and if you're into mezcal, Ryan also has, I'm like plugging all of Ryan's brands. He has this mezcal called Dos Hombres that is so freaking good.
I love tequila, so that's my shit. All right, so we're gonna wrap up very soon, but I got a couple things. These are like quick hitters. I'm gonna ask you a question, a couple questions, but they're gonna be quick answers. Is that cool? And then I'll give you a gift at the end.
Rapid fire.
All right. What's your favorite song that you wish you wrote?
God Is a Woman, Ariana Grande.
That's a good one. What's the one thing you miss the most from the East Coast or about the East Coast?
The East Coast attitude, honesty.
No bullshitting, right? Well, we talked about an artist or a group you want to write for, so that's cool. In 3 words, what was your wildest studio experience? In 3 words or phrases. 3 words or phrases. Did you freeze? Hello?
Oh, wait. All right, I lost you. All right.
Yeah.
My craziest studio experience in 3 words.
Yes, or phrases.
Diamond crusted, gun, Hennessy.
That's insane. Okay.
You can fill in the blanks.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of paint a picture, but you don't have to incriminate anybody. So that's why
I can't agree, but it was in New York. It was in New York. Of course it was.
What was your favorite cruise ship moment?
Performing New Year's Eve.
On the Victory?
Performing on the Victory on New Year's Eve.
That was fun. That was
one of my all-time favorite moments. Also, I had another one. It was it was just a random night with the country band. And we literally stayed up till 5 a.m. drinking and smoking cigarettes on like that crew deck.
The crew deck, yeah, the crew bar deck.
It's hard to explain, but like definitely the New Year's Eve was number one. Performing New Year's Eve and like having like a huge crowd of people, like really excited to be there.
It was like 3,000 people.
Yeah, it was like 3,000 people all on Lido deck.
It was a big shit. Yeah, it was fun. All right.
The drunker you are, the better I sound, baby.
Exactly. Exactly. So my gift to you, you get to ask me any question and I have to answer it unless it's a question that someone asked, but I highly doubt it. But ask me anything you want and I'll answer it.
All right. A date with Dua Lipa. Would you rather go on one date with Dua Lipa, not knowing where it's going to go, or would you rather have $25,000 cash? It's like they're both kind of reasonable. Like it's a reasonable question.
No, listen, 25 bags, like I'm cool, but
But like, who knows what would happen?
Right. So my answer is the day with Dua Lipa. That's like because at the end of the day, it's even if nothing happens from it, it's still a once in a lifetime experience that I could just be like, cool, like that was dope, and I can live off that for at least a solid month.
Damn, you know what really pisses me off? You actually know me sometimes.
It makes sense though, right? Like I love experience, and the 25 grand, that'll come down the line again. Like, but like I don't know when going out with Dua Lipa will ever happen again. So,
yeah, because you can get 25 racks. Like,
yeah,
that could happen.
But the Dua Lipa, that's she's a mega star. So there's a lot of
she's a star. Not only that, she's just like if you see her on a magazine cover, that's what she looks like.
Yeah,
standing in front of you. Yeah, it's unfair. I had to work. Like I had to put this on today. You know.
You look great though. I need to see you on an episode of Song Exploder. You know what that is?
I have never heard of that, but I would love to know more. Please tell me.
I'm plugging another thing, but it's basically a series where they break down a song from an artist and they talk to the writers and the producers. It's on Spotify, YouTube, it's on Netflix. It's actually really dope. And they did Dua Lipa's
That's right.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the song, but I can't remember.
Did they do Levitating?
No, not Levitating, the other one. But
Don't Start Now?
Nope. You got me. And Love Again.
Yes. Oh my God.
But I need to see an episode with you on it.
Love to do Song Exploder. That would be amazing.
So where can people find you on social media or information on booking you and all that good stuff?
If you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Melanie Joy Fontana. That's MELANIE Joy Fontana. And then if you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Melanie Fontana. And that's pretty much all. That's where you'll find me.
Awesome. Listen, I could talk to you forever, but we're gonna wrap up. But thank you so much. We're gonna stay on after this. But thank you so much for doing this. I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time. I just wanted to make it count.
You've gotta meet my husband. It's been so amazing. You'll love him. I feel like when you come to LA and visit, please come hang out with us. Please, let's chill.
I've been prolonging that trip for too long, so I'm gonna make it very like.
Once we get this it makes me so happy that not one time in this interview did we mention the state of the world and that stupid fucking virus.
Well, listen, I kind of wanted to not talk about it because I think everybody's burnt out from it. We're all just still aware. Yeah. So but once everything starts to calm down a little bit, you're one of the first people I want to hit up when I go to LA.
Please come through, come hang out. We'll take you to all the best. We'll do like a tour of Soho houses because my husband's a member.
Done. Awesome.
Yes.
Let me just turn this off. But thank you so much.
Thank you.